Eldenring is From Software's most beautiful game, from beautiful scenery to landscapes. There are many places in this game where you are just left in sheer awe by the outstanding beauty of the lands between. Despite these marvellous sights, there are many places where the horrors of the land and its inhabitants make you realise that the land itself isn't all sunshine and rainbows. This is the horrors that lie between. Just as these beautiful lands formed from the cosmos, it's no surprise some of its horrors come from the depths of outer space as well. Astel is one of these beings. These creatures are an amalgamation of star debris, carrying a human-esque skull for a face with two pincers to grab at its foes. However, they didn't always look like this. You see, they began as falling star beasts, a more juvenile stage in their evolution. They would seek shelter underground to safely develop into their next stage of evolution. Evolving to their adolescent stage, they would shed their rocky form and grow into the Astel we are more familiar with. We often see these more adolescent versions of Astel hanging from the ceilings in the underground areas in Eldenring. Upon reaching adulthood, they would become beings constructed of star debris and freely manipulate gravity and space to an extent. By opening portals to the depths of space, they would bring to this world a gift from their home. After peering into the cosmos, let's have a look at the more grounded entities that await us in the lands between. In the sinking lands of the Urnia of the Lakes, one of the first foes you can come across is the Royal Revenant, a grotesque, multi-limbed undead enemy that was once a member of a royal family. They exist in a state of eternal undeath, with their unnatural feeling bodies embodying the grotesque form of something we would see in a horror film. Many believe the Royal Revenants are the entire noble family blended into this one entity. What binds this nightmare of limbs into one singular being is never fully stated, but we can assume it's a curse of sorts, likely placed onto a noble family as punishment, or by a vengeful individual seeking retribution. They are extremely weak to healing spells. Ironically, what is supposed to heal them is what kills them. Moving on to our next entity, we have the Worm Faces, which are likely Eldenring's most ambiguous character. Usually, when a character's story isn't told through a cutscene, we can find a wealth of lore related to said enemy in item descriptions. However, Worm Faces are one of, if not the only enemy, to have not a single item description relating to them. So without these two sources of knowledge, we can only rely on the environment to fill in the gaps. Observing the Worm Faces at the Altus Plateau, we see their character models are relatively humanoid with a severe parasitic infection. They cloak themselves in golden garbs and group themselves together around the minor Erd tree. It's the location of the worm face that provides the greatest hint as to who they once were before they twisted into this monstrous form. The only other individuals in the game we find surrounding minor Erd trees in Eldenring is the Erd Tree Guardians and the Erd Tree Avatars. Given their humanoid form, I believe it's safe to assume they are the Erd Tree Guardians, or at least related to them in some way. However, this leaves the question, what caused them to twist and contort into an unrecognisable parasitic mess? My answer leans further into more theoretical territory, but I believe it begins with Godwyn. You see, when Godwyn was slain and buried close to the Erd Tree, the traces of destined death within him merged with the Erd Tree's roots, creating Deathroot. We see this infection span a large area of the roots, which likely found themselves to this minor Erd Tree in the Altus Plateau. It's likely to some extent this Deathroot fused with the minor Erd Tree, and the Erd Tree Guardians, in some way or another, subsequently fused with the Deathroot as well. The only evidence supporting this is the fact that the Erd Tree Guardians are always close to minor Erd Trees, and the Worm Faces do have an attack with Deathblight. Ultimately, it's highly theoretical territory that could take some time to piece together. And with that said, that brings the first episode of the horrors that lie between to an end. If you made it this far, I would just like to say thank you very much for watching and consider subscribing for more episodes.